What's up, guys? The man, the myth, the legend, Brock Lesnar has entered free agency, and the whole world is on fire trying to figure out what he is going to do next. The former WWE, UFC, NFL, college athlete, star, however you want to paint the picture of Brock Lesnar, he is now on the market. And there's a lot of speculation that he's either going to re-sign with the WWE or possibly come back to the UFC. Dana White was on record saying that he would welcome him back and that it would be a really fan-friendly fight if he wanted to come back and fight Jon Jones in the heavyweight division. And I know I would watch it, and I'm sure a lot of people would love to see that if Brock Lesnar can test clean, that is. But Brock Lesnar, had a really good career in both the WWE and the UFC. And whenever he came into the UFC, he ended up winning that heavyweight strap. Really a freak of nature. If you look at the guy, he's massive. He's huge. I mean, he's a great wrestler. He was a great collegiate wrestler. So the dude's just a stud athlete. But now that he's entered the free agency, I'm kind of curious to see where he goes. I think at this point in time in his career, UFC would make sense if he wants to get that huge payday. But for his body and for his athleticism and for his talent, I don't know if the UFC would make sense. He is a little bit older. It's very well known that he's used steroids. I think he's popped on multiple occasions. So him coming to the UFC, although I would watch it, I wouldn't sit here and say I wouldn't. I don't know if that's going to bode very well for him, especially if they're trying to get that big-time, big-money fight between him and Jon Jones. Jon Jones going to the heavyweight division after he relinquished his light heavyweight strap, I knew something was probably going to happen, something big. Dana White always likes these fan-friendly fights, and he's the type of guy that anything that can make the UFC money, he is all on board to do. And we cannot deny the fact that Brock Lesnar brings eyes on the sport. The dude's pay-per-view numbers have always been very good. It's between Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, and Conor McGregor, I believe, are the top three draws as far as pay-per-view. When you really look at the history of the pay-per-view buys, they always bring in the numbers. There's some other people sprinkled in there like Nate Diaz and maybe Khabib and stuff like that, but there's no denying that Brock Lesnar brings a lot of eyes on the sport. So it would be a great move for the UFC to bring him back on board. It would be a great move for Jon Jones to fight him at the heavyweight division because, number one, that's a great introductory fight to the heavyweight division, fighting a former champion, and you can probably make a truckload of money. And number two, if it makes sense for the dollar signs. I know I've said that a lot, but the UFC has clearly shown that if someone can make them money, they'll bring it in. We've seen CM Punk fight. We've seen them do that crossover fight with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. So Brock Lesnar is a draw, point blank. No questions asked, he is a draw. So I'm excited to see what he does. The dude's a freak of nature, so I think he could do very well. Maybe not against a Jon Jones, but if you fight him against some other, mid-level heavyweights, I think he would do fine because he's so big and strong and athletic. But I don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure there's going to be some contract negotiations going through. There's going to be a lot of trash talk because Brock Lesnar has trash talked Jon Jones in the past, and Jon Jones has trash talked Lesnar in the past. So there will be bad blood, and I know neither one of these guys are going to be scared of each other. Lesnar doesn't back down from anybody, and neither does Jon Jones. So this has the potential fireworks to be a huge fight for the UFC, a big money draw. And right now, with the world being the way it is, the UFC could always use these big-time money fights. So we'll see what happens. So let me know in the comments below, guys, what you think of this fight. If you think it's going to happen, or should Brock Lesnar sign somewhere else? Should he sign with Bellator? Should he sign with ONE? Should he sign with World Series of Fighting? I mean, the guy's got a big enough name at this point. He can really do about anything he wants. I'm just assuming he's going to come over to the UFC since he's already fought in that organization before, being a former champion. He's got a little bit of history with Dana White. Dana White knows the kind of numbers he can bring in, So we'll just have to see what happens. But thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know in the comments below, and take care.